Zach, thanks. You know, we've spent so much time these last few days talking about Syria, the situation in Syria, the U.S. response to it. We're here now with Dr. Alan Kuperman, the Associate Professor at the LBJ School of Public Affairs here at UT. Thank you so much for coming in, Doctor.
Nice to be back.
We've been talking a little bit right before we came on about so much going on here. First of all, the situation in Syria, the resistance against Bashar al-Assad that's been going on for a couple of years now. You talk about the solution to that. There needs to be a short-term plan and a long-term plan. Short-term plan specifically to address maybe what's happened in these last few weeks.
Right. I mean, allegedly, and it seems to be evidence of this now, the Assad regime used chemical weapons against civilians and killed hundreds, maybe over 1,000. And so you need to do something in the short term that, number one, punishes the regime for that act in order to deter anything, any additional use going forward. But you need a long-term plan. Some people might say, well, let's overthrow this guy now. And the problem is if you overthrew him now, who would come to power is al-Qaeda. It would be even worse than he is. So what do? You need a long-term plan to strengthen the moderate opposition, not the radical Islamists, but the moderate, secular, multi-ethnic opposition. And that might take a year, it might take 2 years. And so there's a short-term plan and a long-term plan.
That's what makes this so tough. In that situation, in the resistance against Assad, there's elements of the exact people we'd like in power in the Middle East. And then, of course, the exact people we want to prevent above all else in al-Qaeda. And like you said, that's going to hang in the balance. How we do that, it's who's going to come to power and either make the situation, at least for America, worse or much better.
Right, and so that's why you have folks on Capitol Hill who are looking at this, and some are saying, we're really worried about doing anything because this could drag us into a war, it could bring bad folks to power. And then you have folks like Senator McCain, Senator Graham are saying, no, this doesn't go far enough. We can't just do a little pinprick strike. We need to get rid of this guy, Assad, and it's overdue. We should have been doing this 2 years ago. And in a sense, they're both right. But what you really want to do is deter the use of chemical weapons, and then you want to have some long-term plan. And it's not clear Obama has the stomach for a long-term plan to change the regime in Assad. That's something we're going to have to see.
Won't it all be easy? Won't it all be popular? So that's the reality of that long-term plan you talk about. But in the short term, almost everyone agrees the U.S. will need to do some sort of retaliation, some sort of punishment, like you said, for this chemical weapon attack. The president says he wants support in the House before he goes forward. You believe that ultimately he will get that support?
I do think he'll get it, and the reason is because it's bad for America if the president draws a red line and then can't enforce the red line. And so even if you're in the Republican Party and you personally don't like this president, this is not the way to hurt the president, because by withholding support to hurt the president, you hurt the country. And so I think for reasons of patriotism and for the U.S. role in the world, which is really a bipartisan issue, I think that Congress has the support. And I think everyone's going to get that. And the president will get very strong support. It actually will strengthen him.
Yeah, bipartisan support, but it's tricky in this regard, too, because, like you said, there might be elements on the right that may not want to go along with the president on anything. There are elements on the right that are already in front of him on taking action. And then he's got elements in his own party who don't want any sort of military action like this that he might have to drag along and persuade.
I think to some extent there's going to be folks in the Democratic and Republican Party that are going to hold their nose and vote yes for this, for the good of the country.
And it's a short term, and then, of course, this is a long-term situation in Syria we'll keep our eyes on as well. So much information. Wish we had more time to talk about it. Dr. Alan Kuperman, thank you so much. We appreciate your insight.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.